That's the use, what to make with.
Okay. Okay, I call tonight's meeting of the select board to order. This is a working session. Okay, and our primary thing to do is to get the warrant signed so that we can send our tax bills out. And have it here.
I'd like to make a motion to reconsider the rate that we're setting this at. Cause I don't agree with and I know Jeanette does a good job with the numbers and everything. But we did get $750,000 back from FEMA. And I know 300 is there to pay off the loan that we have. But there's no reason why we couldn't take $200,000 to lower this down, because our due diligence is to keep people in their homes, not out of their homes, and a lot of people are struggling as it is, and that's where I stand on this.
So I think maybe we should go, we we spent a lot of time weighing on what we should and shouldn't do, and this was the best we thought we could do.
If I could kind of address Tom's question or statement. A couple of weeks ago, you had made the statement of our tax rate should go down because we received the money from FEMA. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way with the Department of Revenue. The Department of Revenue isn't even recognizing that revenue as revenue for this year because it's not been officially determined where it's going to go. That revenue, as Joe Beth and I both mentioned a couple weeks ago in that meeting, will not affect the tax rate for this year. It may affect the tax rate for 2026, depending on what pans out in 2026 as far as expenses and other revenues. But it's not an immediate effect. The expenses happened in 2024, and the money was received in 2025. For the reimbursement of those expenses, but it doesn't take any effect in the Department of Revenue's eyes until we start looking at the revenues and the expenses and setting the tax rate for 2026. So even though we receive the money, it does not affect the tax rate immediately.
I appreciate that, what you just said. But the thing about it is there's no empathy on their end of it, whether people lose their homes or not. The thing about it is the higher the taxes are, the less that we're gonna get, because they're not gonna be able to pay them. And granted, I understand what you said there, but I don't see any reason why, because you did mention that it has to go be in a meeting where to place the money. And again, I have reservations about that, but we had the money within Dalton to pay for the roads. And so,
So
to me, that is extra, and I really don't see why we can't, because you took what, $50,000 to lower the overlay or something?
we dropped, the overlay is for what we anticipate in tax abatements. DRA in their recommendation was at 25,000, we dropped it to 20,000. And then the other thing we can do is reduce our fund balance. So we reduced our fund balance by 50,000 to reduce taxes. The thing is, when we were hit with the flood last year, it was a good thing that we had a fund balance there.
Right.
And I really feel like 300,000 is the appropriate balance that we should have if we get hit with a disaster. We're dropping it down to 250,000. The other thing is there is a range that DRA recommends, and we've been at 11 or 12%. Now we're down to like 7 or 8%. So we've dropped it down. I personally feel like to be responsible stewards of the town and make sure the town can keep operating, I don't think we should go any lower. we also had to take out a loan to help pay our expenses.
Yeah, that took a consideration of the FEMA money that we could take and pay that off.
But the FEMA money is only covering 75%. It's reimbursing us for 75%, not 100. You know, we looked as a select board, it's an opportunity to get these roads fixed so they're in better shape. But it doesn't cover 100%.
Okay, I understand that.
So we still have expenses, and then we've got the
We
disconnect
still
in
got-
terms of what DRA looks at,
Yeah.
because they look at expenses last year. We just started getting the FEMA money reimbursement coming in this year. We'll look at it at town meeting in terms of how to handle it. So we actually don't have a lot of leeway when we set our taxes, because there are all these, DRA looks at expenses from last year, they look at anticipated revenues for this year. And then we just have a little bit of wiggle room in there. We don't have a lot of opportunity for changes. We don't have as much control as I thought before I came on the select board.
So back, we moved here about 7 years ago, and we were just under $800,000 to run the town. And we have since gone up well over $1 million. Explain that, we're a small town. I know that we got equipment for the road and this and that. But why are we continually climbing instead of panning off somewhere?
So we've had inflation. We
Yeah,
had things that
insurance.
were underfunded. I mean, like our highway department, the roads weren't being maintained as well as they are now.
Insurance.
Insurance has gone up. Health insurance that we're required to have.
Plus we added
Liability
that
insurance.
insurance. We added the,
We added yes, and the town agreed to add the retirement for employees.
Yeah.
And the towns approve the budget every year. So the time to deal with the budget is at town meeting.
Well, I'm sorry, I need to stick where I feel that we could still use at least another 100,000 to help. But that's my opinion, that's what I feel. And
So we already had a motion that
So
was,
you do what you
Yeah.
gotta do. I mean, I personally, I don't agree, so I'm not gonna sign it.
okay,
I mean, we really couldn't see how we could lower it anymore.
Lowering it to 55,000 only made a 40-cent difference.
Hmm.
So even if we took our fund balance to zero, we would not meet last year's tax rate. And DRA would not approve taking our fund balance to
The other thing
zero.
too, you know, we got new buildings that people put up, additions or whatever.
Mhm.
So I mean, that's added taxes, you know, to the town,
Added tax revenue.
right?
Mhm.
You know, and but we never take that, we don't take it in compensation, in stride with our year.
Sure we do. All those new buildings are being taxed at the assessed value, just like everyone else.
So you would think that would help.
It's not going to help offset a tax rate. It's not going to help offset the tax rate when it's set. It does help offset the tax rate in general. Because if you had a home that, say, for instance, is paying $15,000 a year in real estate taxes, not paying that $15,000 would be absorbed by everyone else. So you look at these nice new houses that are being built, those people are paying taxes. And if they weren't paying taxes, that doesn't necessarily affect what the appropriations are or what the expenses are. Those would more than likely be the same. Because the town is still running the same. New residents don't cost the town in education for the town. It might for the district, but not really. Because most of those people who are building homes don't have small children. They're not affecting more fire or more EMS. They're not affecting more town clerk. They're affecting more tax collector, only in printing more bills and more postage. But it's not, because someone comes in and builds $1 million house, it doesn't mean that your taxes are gonna go down 10 cents per thousand. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot of different variables that go into setting the tax rate.
The aggregate assessment that we have, the total assessment, is part of the calculation, but it's only one part.
Yeah, the assessed value is used in determining what the tax rate is when you say this is what we must raise for taxes. This is our tax burden. And then it's that assessed value is used in that. Someone who has a more expensive home pays more in taxes because it's per thousand.
Well, you would probably know better than anybody because you talk to DRA and all that.
Well, it's all in the forms that
I
you
know,
have there.
I just don't agree with it, and so do what you gotta do.
Well, we do need to get the tax bills out because we're looking
You
at,
gotta get tax bills out.
yeah. So Eric, will you motion? So we don't think we need a second motion. We go ahead and sign the
I know you
warrant.
don't agree with it, but
I don't think anyone here, including us that live in town, I don't think anyone here wants the tax rate to go up, but we have a responsibility as employees of the town and stewards of the town to make sure that the town is functioning. And that's
I appreciate that. I know the town
That's-
is the function.
what we have to do. And so I'm hoping that next year it does help offset the tax rate, but until town meeting comes and the legislative body decides where they want that money to go, there's no telling what's gonna happen. I
Yeah.
mean, if they decide that we're gonna pay this loan of 300,000 and we're gonna put 300,000 back in paving and the rest goes to fund balance, then that means if our fund balance next year is way above what DRA recommends, then at that time, the board can say, hey, we're at 22% in our fund balance. We can take this down to 15 and really make a nice, decrease to the tax rate. They may say, hey, look at our capital improvement plan. We've got 2 trucks that are on their last leg. Maybe we should take a portion of that, instead of putting it all in fund balance, take a portion of that and put it in a capital reserve for the highway vehicles, right? So that we don't have to take out $500,000 in loans to replace trucks that are dying. I mean, these are all things that can be presented at town meeting, at the budget hearing, at town meeting, on warrants, and then you let the legislative body decide. And that's why it is that way. I believe that's why DRA and the state have it set up that way per state statute, so that the legislative body can decide. So,
And last week, when we looked at this, I mean, Eric and I both, it was challenging for us to figure out what to do. We weren't happy. We just felt like we did the best we could for the town.
Well, I do appreciate your knowledge and what you do. I know that this has gotta go, we've gotta get the taxes out, but it's my right, my feeling, and so.
Well, we appreciate your opinion and
another thing that we did last Monday was the breakdown that you did
mhm,
with the equipment.
yep,
yep. And I emailed that to everybody.
Oh, you did? And
yeah, you
Yeah.
emailed it last week. I think it was Tuesday.
Right after the meeting, I thought, or the next day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Tuesday, I think I got it. Showing, what we need in order to make sure that we have trucks to plow the roads and fix the roads and, yeah.
And you were there when Adam was talking with us, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I took that list he gave me, and what I did is I put it in a spreadsheet. It's my copy here, I think. This is not the most recent version, this was an earlier one, but. Yeah, maybe it is. So I tried to look at what he had anticipated for when it would need to be replaced, ideally.
Good idea.
And then I went and I looked at it from a different perspective, that's the list of equipment. And I took that information and I looked at what we have in the capital reserve fund now. We're at the beginning of the year, then we added 25K. So we have basically about 40,000 in capital reserves. And then I looked at if we follow that schedule and we took out money to pay for that, I looked at what we would need. And I looked at, it looked like when we talked with Adam, we would need to put in more if we're going to follow that schedule. And if we put in 50,000 a year, it probably isn't enough. And this takes some time to look through and think about. We'll talk about it when we deal with the budget. Then I ran a scenario of 75,000 if we added that.
I keep these.
No, you get them on email anyway.
I do, okay.
Yeah, I was saying I can print out another copy, but they're my copies. So,
Now, if you send it to me, I'll get it up to there.
yeah,
But now this, it needs to be budgeted so that when that time comes, we don't have to, rate people with their taxes to get it. So
that's the hope. I mean, if this is laying out
actually,
scenarios, whether, then we have to look at,
well, Webworth has mentioned this back when I first started that we needed to do something like this.
I've been trying to get this information for 7 years. So I'm glad, Adam gave me that list, which allowed me to do this. And that conversation we had with him. So we'll have to talk with that as we pull the budget together and the warrant articles together.
Okay,
Okay, well, I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry,
Is
we've
it
got,
appropriate that I can ask a question?
I'm sorry,
Is it appropriate I can ask a question?
go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Gordon Job, 318 Ridge Road. It's not often I agree with Tom, but I do on this case. Based on the annual report, December of this past year, we had 213,000 in the capital reserve fund, 148,000 in warrant articles. So I don't know where we are now. I'm sure you've looked at all other options to pay off this debt.
So some of those are restricted. The capital reserve funds are by purpose.
Yes, yeah, I understand that. And it's funded through the citizen voting.
Mhm.
So I'm suggesting, throwing out for your consideration, can we temporarily borrow from these funds to pay this debt? And then, wait, don't say
Go
no.
ahead.
And then when FEMA money comes in, we replenish these funds. Now, to do this, I imagine we have to do a town meeting.
Yes.
My thoughts.
I mean-
I don't know if you know, but we already received a little over $750,000.
Yes.
And Jeanette says we got more coming.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm saying temporary loan from our reserve fund and repay it.
We are looking up. Because we would have to notice a special town meeting. We'd have to get permission to hold a special town meeting from the state. I don't know whether they would give us permission or not. So we're looking at a delay of weeks. We have our TAN note coming due, right?
December 9th.
9th. And then on December 15th, the 15th,
It's
it's usually the
17th,
17th, we have to pay 467,000 to the county.
470.
470, okay. I'm thinking of last year's. They have a pretty steep, they have a 10% penalty if we don't pay it on time. And we've sometimes driven it up there, so we're not late. We don't have time to go through those steps and set the tax rate and get our tax bills out and get tax revenue in to cover those expenses. That's just the reality of this situation.
So do we have time for the tax bills to get out and then they might cover it? fully covered?
Yes, because some people pay their tax bill right when they get it. They don't wait for the due date.
Yeah.
The due date right now is set to be December 18th, which is the day after the county taxes are due. But generally, we receive enough before the actual due date that it would cover those items. And we have money in the bank, obviously, because we've received money from FEMA. But we also have to keep in mind that we still have 2 months worth of expenses to get through, and we have no idea what winter is going to be like or what type of issues we're going to be hit with between now and January. So I know today there's an issue with one of the trucks, so I don't know what the issue is, but I mean, we get hit with those things all the time. The spending in the highway department doesn't stop. So, we have to be able to run the town and pay these bills at the same time. So if anyone's got $750,000 they're just looking to do something fun with, hey, I got a couple bills for you. But otherwise, you know, and if we don't pay the TAN on time, then we risk damaging our credit enough that we would not qualify for a TAN moving forward. And we certainly don't want to be in that position either. So,
Okay, so we have a motion that's been seconded to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
thank you. Good night.
Thank you.